So today we're going to be rebuilding Whisperflow pump. We're going to change out all the seals and gaskets, and I'm going to go over step by step on how to do that, as well as what tools you will need. So this should be all the tools that you'll need. There are some optional tools that I'll show you in a minute, but you'll need a rubber mallet or a hammer. You're going to need a 1-inch coupling, and that's to push the seal in, and that's only if you're working with the Whisperflow pump or a PS1000 seal. You'll also need a Phillips head screwdriver, a T10 bit, or any kind of Allen key that will fit the diffuser screws. You need a 9/16 socket and your socket wrench. In this case, I'm going to be using the impact drill. You'll need your O-ring lubricant and then a silicone sealant. And then you'll also need your 9/16 open-ended, 1/2-inch open-ended, and a 7/16 open-ended. These two are going to be for either a 48 frame motor and a 56 frame motor. We will be going over that shortly as well. Now these are optional tools. You got your big pair of channel locks, that's to help get the impeller off. You also have a long skinny flathead and your long big flathead. And these will just be used in certain cases if the shaft is stuck or if we're having problems getting impellers off without with using our hands, and we need different kinds of tools to get that done. We'll start with taking off all the 6 perimeter bolts. These are all the 9/16, and then you got your 1 9/16 nut on the end. That's what we're going to need our open-ended wrench for. Get our socket on. This is what we're left with after we take the motor out of the housing. We've got 2 screws over here on each side, and these are going to be the T10 screws. Again, you can just use your regular set of Allen keys, but if you have the bits available, it's going to be a T10. Get this one out. And set it over to the side, dispose of the O-ring, we will be replacing it. Now inside the impeller, you're going to see a screw there. That's going to be your impeller set screw. These are reverse threaded, so it's righty-loosey, lefty-tighty. So we're going to go ahead and remove that impeller screw, otherwise you are not getting this impeller off. And if you try to fight it, it will tighten up everything and make it really hard to get the impeller off. Good. Loosen that guy up. Should be good. Now we need to lock up the shaft so we're able to get the impeller off. So we got to pop this back cover off to expose the end of the shaft. Some of them will have screws on there, some of them will have different kinds of backs, and I'll put a couple different ones of those in the video as well. Right now what we're going to do is grab our flathead and just do lightly tap. That will pop off. That'll expose the end of the shaft where we can get our 1/2-inch wrench on to hold the shaft while we spin the impeller to get it off. Now we were talking about the difference between 48 frames and 56 frame motors. So this one is a lot smaller of a diameter as far as the body of the motor goes. So that's going to be your 48 frame. And then this one is a much bigger body of a motor. That's called the 56 frame. So in the 48 frame, it's a little bit different. We're going to go ahead and pull off the 1/4 inch and then get this cover off, and then I'll show you how we lock it. So after we get the back cover off of the motor, this is where you'll use a 7/16 open-ended wrench. Back down here, that is a 7/16. So what you do is you come from the top over here and you just kind of nicely move around the wires. And you get it down onto there, and you'll rotate the impeller until it locks in place. And then this stud right here will hold the wrench while you are trying to get your impeller off. But that's how you'll come through. You'll clip down onto the 7/16 right there, and that'll hold your impeller in on a 48 frame. Now that we have our 1/2-inch wrench holding onto the back, we'll hold on to the wrench, and we're going to go ahead and rotate the impeller. And that one is kind of stuck, so that's where it would come into play. You get one of your screwdrivers, put it in, and use a little bit of leverage. If you start to feel it crack, go ahead and stop. Then you'll use your channel locks, grab onto the mouth. Sometimes the mouth will crack. At that point, you're going to have to get the impeller off however you can, and then replace it if needed. Now on these Whisperflow impellers, when you take them off, we're going to look at the back side of it. This one's good, but sometimes they're flared out around the edges, and the seal's not setting in there nice and tight and snug. It's got like a play with it, so your leak will come back right away. So always check your impellers. Now to get the rear seal out, this is the ceramic portion of it. You'll just kind of go right at the edge of the seal and just pry it up. Sometimes they're a little bit stuck. You'll have to grab onto a pair of pliers or something like that, but typically they come out nice and easy, as long as the pump hasn't ran dry numerous times or anything like that. Now we're going to go ahead and get the seal plate off of the motor. So we're going to remove the 4 bolts that are 9/16 that hold that on. This is where the impact is very helpful, because sometimes these bolts are calcified, so I like using the impact for that. Alright, so now that we got all the bolts out for the seal plate, we're going to go ahead and pull that down. Depending on your location, sometimes there are spiders and other stuff that live behind the seal plate. So I like to pull it up a little bit, drop it down. Alright, so now we need to remove the 1000 seal out of the seal plate. Keep it on the back side here. Grab our screwdriver and our mallet, and we'll just hit it. These are silicone in place. We'll go ahead and just go around, get that out, excess silicone, and I like to clean up some of this calcium. Wire brush. Again, you don't always need a wire brush, but this one has a decent amount of calcium. Just clean it up. The surface of that. Alright. Got our seal plate gasket, diffuser O-ring, and shaft seal right here. We're going to go ahead and start out with the shaft seal, and then we'll get the pump all back together. 1000 seal. This is where we're going to use our silicone sealant. We're just going to go lightly around a small tube. And set it in place. coupler into place, hold it nice and center, and just give it a few good rounds. I like to spin it as I'm pulling it off. It'll help separate the silicone so you don't get any up on the black ceramic portion of that. After that, you should see it sitting in there nice and flush. And we will take the impeller and we'll grab our rubber seal and we'll get our O-ring lubricant. I like to put a little dab of that on the rubber seal portions. Just a little bit. And just give it a little spin. Set it in place. Inside the box for the seal, there's a little piece of paper. I like to put that over top of it so I don't get any oils or anything on the actual ceramic. And you just push that into place. Now we'll go ahead and reassemble the pump and put this steel plate gasket on and get it all back together. Alright, we're going to go ahead and get the seal plate mounted back onto the motor. And grab our short 1/16 bolts. I like to start them all with my hand. We'll get our impeller, put that back on there, go onto the back of the motor with our 1/2-inch wrench. And just hand tight on that, give it a nice little snug down, and you're good. Then we'll come back around to the impeller screw and remember the reverse thread, so lefty tighty. And we'll get that spun down. And again, just hand tight and a little snug. It's got nice. So I can get our 9/16 socket, tighten up all these bolts. Diffuser, put that back on. Let's grab our 210 driver. Grab our diffuser O-ring. Lightly apply just a little bit on this one. And don't pull on it, just pinch it slightly to be able to guide the lubricant. If you pinch too hard and while you're pulling it to spread it, it will end up stretching out the O-ring and then it won't fit on the diffuser. And make sure that you don't pull and stretch that out. Now we're going to get our seal plate gasket. And again, this one will use a little bit extra on it. I go on both sides of it. And just lightly spread that. And after that, we'll go ahead and set this into its groove. Got that in. Let's set it back into the pump. Grab our housing bolts. Tighten them all up. So get the pump back together. All the bolts are nice and snug down. I'll go ahead and get the back of the motor back on. Just grab that small cap. Nice little taps, get that back seated. Then you'll fill your pump basket back up with water, turn it on, and check for leaks.